happening, guys? Welcome back to another video here at Wicked Garage. You can see we have the 84 in the shop, ready to get torn down and taken off this frame. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like, comment, and share. And I hope you enjoy this new series. Let's get right into it. So we have the K10 in here, and as you can see, it is pretty much already torn down, but there's a lot of stuff that we're getting rid of. We're not going to keep. Obviously, stuff has to get repaired on it, and we are getting rid of the doors because the doors are in really bad shape. Even though they might not look it, the inside on the bottoms all shot, and all the components are all just shot from sitting in the woods over a span of like 2 decades, I would say, which leads me to sort of the story. Long story short, right now, is this was inherited from his father, from the customer's father, and his father passed away. He got the truck and a house, came into financial difficulties, and he had to let go of this truck, unfortunately. But almost 2 decades later, he ended up finding this, where it was located, who bought it, and was able to buy it back. And there was actually a tree growing in the back of the bed, which is why this is so sort of rotted out, and we had to unfortunately go and get a new frame. And if you know, K10s are very hard to find a really clean frame for a K10 anymore. So we ended up going and upgrading to a K30, which is going to suit this build a lot more. It's a heavier frame. It's got a little bit different of the leafs, but nothing we can't handle. We'll make it make any modifications we need to make, and everything else is pretty much in the same area if you measure everything. So we're not really changing much. As long as you get a single wheel, it's fine. They're also still very hard to find, but we managed to find one. And you've seen in one of our shorts that I went up with my father and we went and got the new frame. So now what we're doing is, this is a ground up build, like I've been saying for a very long time. He completely tore this down to where it's at right now. We haven't really touched much on it, mainly because we were originally going to take this apart, do the frame and stuff like that. He got the cross member in there, but this frame's just too far gone. You can see there's a giant hole right there. It's cracked on the other side right there. It's just too thin to really do anything. And especially if this is going to get passed down to his son, I don't want a chance of anything to happen with the frame. And I don't want to try to like cover this up or patch it or anything like that. I want to make it a nice frame. So we got the nice Southern K30 frame, heavier duty frame and setup, and it's just a lot nicer. Gives us a great foundation to start, and then obviously we are keeping the memento of the cab. We are also going to be keeping this rear window and the steering wheel. So we're probably going to clean this up, make this a little bit nicer, or see what we can do to make this, you know, sort of a memento for him and his family, to his father. And obviously we have a lot of body work to do. Cab corner, inner and outers, rockers, inner and outers, and then all of our other supports in the front. The main cab support that comes up here, that is rotted, and these cab mounts are rotted as well, which I have one of those, but the other is on back order. Most of the other stuff, that all can get pretty much cleaned up and refabricated, make it look like brand new. Well, guys, we got the cab pretty much stripped down yesterday. Well, last night. Got the rug out, cleaned everything up. Got steering column, all electrical components, the HVAC. Now we can sort of see what we actually need for parts and start sourcing what we need. Rest is going to come off. We got these little sensors and such, and then the window wiper motors and the antenna. But you see when we took this out, we have a little bit of damage up top. Nothing too crazy, just got to clean it up. But you can see the window is definitely leaking, and they put some silicone behind it so it didn't leak anymore. But the normal stuff, it didn't change anything here. Obviously we have to do the rockers, inners and outers. There's a little bit of rust through the floor pan. We're going to see how it is when we start tearing it apart and everything. When we get it on the rotisserie. But windows out, we were able to save the back glass. Obviously we got to get new rubber and all that stuff. The front windshield, that was shot anyway. And then the doors we took off. We kept what we can. Obviously we'll clean up what we can and reuse some of the parts, but most of it is going to be pretty much replaced. We have new doors on order. They're back ordered right now. We're going with the premium doors because we want them to fit a lot better. The dash is in really bad shape, as you can see. And then we had a little mouse nest in the condenser, the AC, HVAC stuff. So we're gonna have to get a new pieces of that because that's pretty rotted on the bottom. But we're gonna save the wing window and all those components. This little piece right here. If we can save the window, we will. It all depends how bad it's scratched up, because it looks a little bit scratched up. But we will see. We can't get it open because it is like sort of welded shut, I would guess you'd say, just from sitting for so long for the last 25 years. And I'm sure a bunch of stuff got in there since dry rotted. But we want to keep all this stuff because we don't know what we're exactly going to need. You're not going to get everything online or out there. We might end up having to get donor parts, which isn't also a big deal. But here's all the steering assembly, the shifter, pedals, everything. So it's completely gutted, going to rotisserie, and then we can start really seeing what we need to do on this truck, which is a decent amount. I'm not gonna lie. All right, guys, so let's talk about the K10 build and the issues we need to address. So we did get a bunch of parts. We still have one part on back order, as well as the premium doors are on back order as well. Let me just try to move because I'm not feeling too great with my back right now. But since we got this all pretty much stripped, these were bent. So my dad bent these all back, got them as best as we possibly can. Obviously there is some, rust in areas. When we sandblast most of this, we'll be able to actually see a little bit more. We're going to scrape all this stuff off and just clean it up as good as we can before we sandblast. Main things that we have to do, obviously it's not mounted on the rotisserie yet. We have to make a custom bracket. We're probably going to use the door hinge area and sort of make something, a brace that goes across that lines up with the back cab mounts, so we can actually cut this front cab cab floor pan kind of support off, as well as these cab mounts. So that's why we can't mount to there. Now we also have the rockers and the cab corners that have to be done. So you can see we do have rot around here, and we're gonna have to take these all out. The inners are most likely gonna have to get replaced. Inners of the cab corners, outside rockers. We do have some, rust and stuff like that. We got some push up from the cab support that goes through. So once we get that all off, we can sort of figure out a little bit better. Looks like we got a little bit of rust and a hole through there. We're debating on if we're going to do pans or not. We have this piece right here, which we're going to take out and probably get. And then obviously this back cab mount, it looks okay, but we won't know until obviously we sandblast everything. There's a few things here and there. We got to figure out if we are keeping the trim. I believe since we're going custom with the bed and the bumper and stuff, we're not going to keep the trim around here, so we're going to cut these off. But we didn't do that yet because we just want to double check with him. And then we do have some, rust and rot here and there. Nothing too crazy, which is good. We have a dent that we also have to work on, and this is actually pretty difficult to get to. So that's going to be a lot of welding and pulling because there's no way to get in there. We'll make it like it never happened. On the front in the windshield, you can see that they put some seal up on the top. So it must have been leaking through the top, and you can see there is some rust and separation between. This entire frame is going to get rolled out. We are still working on what we're doing for the axles and lift kit. We might go 2.5 inch, we might go 4 inch, but I think 4 inch is capped in his mind, and I believe he wants to do 35s. Won't know until he actually decides. So it's going to take us some time to get this all, fixed up, ready to go. We also have the frame, but we sort of want to hold off on the frame until we know what we're doing for axles. Because if I have to go and get axles, I want to sandblast them at the same time. We got a lot of work to do on this. And like I said from the get-go, this is not a, 1 month hurry up rush build. This is going to take a while. It's going to be spanned over, several months, and it's going to get done, and we're going to do it right. We're going to make sure everything is good to go and as perfect as possible. Obviously, we are doing a full restoration on this cab, so this thing is going to look absolutely gorgeous when we're done, especially since this is going to go up and get painted by my uncle who does this for a living. He does more high-end tractor trailer builds and stuff like that, but people around here know when he paints a vehicle, they are immaculate. So he painted my service body, and he helped me paint a few other things, and everything that he does is above and beyond what needs to be done, and that's the reason why he also costs a lot of money. So it ain't going to be cheap, which I told my customer, he knows, but it's going to be absolutely perfect. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this little tear down of this K10, and I hope you're excited to see where this is going to go. This is, like I said, going to be a long time. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like, comment, and share. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.